I'll just start with, I think, on the first day, I was telling about something like you should be aware of ITIL and aware of more of the best practices in ITIL, what exactly we do, and or at least you should know about what is meant by ITIL when you're working on ITSM. So you should be at least not in a full fledged ITIL knowledge, but you should have a basic understanding of what is ITIL and why being ITIL being evolved. So whenever we are working for an IT industries, you frequently hear this word ITIL, ITSM. So why? Because the ITIL is majorly a process oriented, right? So it's more of the best practices which been drafted under the ITIL processes. So they gone and then they done a research under a lot of industries and then found theories and picked up all the best practices being followed by across and to make the company profitable. So with that, let me start the introduction to ITSM, and then slowly I will go back to the ITIL and then explain you more in detail. So to understand the ITIL and ITSM, so let's understand the what is mean by ITSM. So I was also mentioned in terms of ITSM, ITOM, ITBM. So they are all part of it, but they are all individual modules. What happens if you see this is what is ITSM here? It's an IT service management. What is IT service management? Anyone who actually give the services, they had to be managed at the end. So maybe, for example, if you brought a mobile or a laptop, somebody has to serve you. So the service management is called as a ITSM. Whenever you go and buy something, then you need a service. There will be a warranty period. There will be a the service centers where they will do the service for those the gadgets you are going to get it from the market. So that's called a service management. Even in the IT space, the same thing. If somebody actually develops something, then that need to be managed. So any service companies who provide a service to their customers, then they had to be managed. There should be a way to raise their issues and then their problems, and there will be a changes coming to that, and they has to be managed. That's called as an ITSM. And there is something called services. You should also know that there is a service, right? So the service, these are all the terminology which I kept actually the standard terminologies which we use, and then the wordings also will be the remain same where you look out in ITIL. The services are means delivering the value to the customers. So when you are actually giving something, then you had to serve the customer, and then you had to uplift the customer with all their issues and then see that what exactly the issues are, and you had to make the customers comfort. Anyway, you work with customer, they brought something with some cost, and then it's all actually you had to manage their services. So that's all. And then the uh, legal contracts will come into the picture there, and then those will be served. But the services means it's more of anything if the customers are brought and then those need to be served. That's part of service. Uh, the definition for the service management. The service management is a set of specialized capabilities for delivering the values to the customer. It is set of capabilities. So there is a skills required or a knowledge required to manage those the product or a services which you are providing. So that actually the service management, and also ITSM ITIL is a framework. What is actually ITIL is a framework for ITSM. So it's majorly you might have heard when you hear ITIL always. You tend to hear that there is an incident management, problem management, and change management, and there are many more. I will come to that later. So you will actually understand in detail of um, so when you hear from anyone, when you go back and then ask what is ITL, then you tend to hear the incident, problem, and change frequently. So that is where actually they manage the services, and so that's where the ITIL is a framework. If you want to see that what is ITIL, it's a framework for IT service management. The IT service management is a strategic approach to design, delivering, managing, and improving the way information technology is used within an organization. If your organization is actually giving some services, then they have to manage. So how they're going to manage is they design it, they deliver it to customer, and then they manage it, and then improving on top of it what already been given to a customer. So even it's the same with any company. So if any service companies, for example, an Airtel or a Reliance, you see this, they provide you a service, and then they see that, okay, how can I give, now today my speed is 10 MB, how can I give 100 MB today, tomorrow? So they will start evolving and they will upgrade their services to make customer happy. The goal of the IT service management is to ensure that the right process, people, and the technology are in place so that the organization can meet its business goal. The business goal always will be a growth, right? And the customer satisfaction. So they attempt to, there are many more. So in terms of the strategic direction, if they had to grow and then they had to go, um, they had to fit in the market, and then they had to be win in the market, then they had to have a business goals of how they want to deliver and how they want to drive the things on their products. So in terms of that, they should have a right process and the people to do this and the technologies to support them. So that's where the organization has to be equipped with all this to manage the services and the product which they are delivering. I think this is more of the brief of what exactly the IT services is, ITIL, and then that maybe you can say that it's a more of terminology which we use, ITSM and ITIL. I'll go back to the next slide. I think so few slides I just walk you through. I just wrote so that it is an informative for you to understand, because it's a standard from standard definitions from the ITIL. It's not that I am going to prepare all this, so it's a standard across all. And currently we have the latest version which of ITIL has come as IT4 till ITIL V3. They were adding a V3 version 3. So now there is no more version 3. It's ITL4 they call. They have more things being added into it. So if somebody want to get into ITIL and understand and do the certification, that's a separate certifications. But in this session, it's more focused on the ServiceNow. I want to give a glimpse of actually what is ITIL and then understanding of what is mean by ITIL. And so that is needed actually as you work on ServiceNow. So continuing to our discussion on IT service management is often equipped with the information technology in infrastructure library. So what is ITIL? Is the information technology infrastructure library focused on aligning the IT services. I told you there is a ITIL is the best practices across the organization. They see and then they implement it. The process, how the things has to be managed, how the services has to be managed to uh, run their business. So that's what actually the ITIL explains to. And what is ITIL? ITIL is a public framework that described the best practices in the IT service management and control of the IT services. It focused on the continual measurement and improvement of the quality of the IT services delivered by both business and the customer perspective. So the ITIL will help any industries in terms of growing the business as well as giving best to the customers. What is mean by process? Also, ITL derived with some of the three terminologies, that is process, roles, and the functions. The process is a structured set of activities designed to accomplish a specific objective. A process takes one or more defined inputs and turn them into defined outputs. The process is something you feed something, then there will be an output coming. So there should be an output whenever you work on any of the development. So without any business objective, we will not do the development. Any organization will not be interested without any outcomes or from that, and then there will be something beneficial for the customers. They will not be having they will go ahead with doing any development, right? So that's how you should have something to start with the design, and then when you design you should actually able to deliver it, and there should be an defined output of what exactly you want to see and what you want to deliver to the customer. So, and the roles are the defined collection of specific responsibilities. When you work in an organization, you see the defined roles being defined for individuals, what they're supposed to do and what they should be completing it as part of their roles and responsibilities. So that's what explains in the roles and the functions. A team or a group of people, and the tool or other resources, they carry out one or more processes or activities. So that's called a function. I think with this, this is more of the definition, so you can read through and understand. If you have any queries, I think we can clarify later. Also, if we need to see that there is an ITIL, any of the processes will have a cycle, right? Even agile, there will be a cycle. ITIL, you have a similar cycle again here. So the life cycle of the ITIL derive like this. So there are five ITIL stages. Within five stages, you have again the processes. I'll go through that as well in the session today. I will briefly touch base what they are, and so if you want understand, there is a detailed session can be done later in the time. um, there are five stages in the ITL v3. So the ITL v4 also been evolved from ITL 3. They are not removed anything from the ITL 3. It's more of advanced version of what we see in ITL v3. Okay, so the service strategy, service design, service transition, service operation, continual service improvement. So these are the five the stages. When any industries they are planning actually anything to be delivered. So there is a new product which a company A want to start implementing, and they want to deliver it to customer. Then they need to strategize what actually we need to give it to the customer end user. So is that something which will be working out? So they had to put a strategy before they start doing actually any of the work. So they have a aim, they have a view of at least what they need to deliver to their customers, and they think that okay, this is the way I need to actually uh, go into the market, and then strategize myself, and then succeed in the market. So to do that, what exactly I need to plan? So that's the strategy. They define a strategy, and then they design. The strategies are something on a high level. They design business requirement like, okay, I want to have something like this in the future. So can you able to do it? So there should be a justification that what they can actually do, or what they are aiming for. It is not that it is technically derived anything. It is it is some kind of a vision actually what they want to give it to the end customers. So that is in the strategy. And that with that help, with when once the strategies are finalized, then should be something to be designed. So when you want to actually take a vision and then that need to be converted, you need to design it how you want to model it again. So that's kind of like it all covered under the service design. And once you design, then somebody has to develop and then develop those product, and then they should be tested properly. And then again, customer has to view them, and they had to give a sign off and see that, okay, this product is looking good now. I think this is good to go, and then launch it in the production. So before we go to the production, so we need to do a lot of the enhancements onto what already existing tool is there. Then there is a features which has to be enhanced, or the new tool which is getting developed that needs to be perfectly tested, and then and strategically that needs to be released to the production again, by looking at the features which are already completed or something might be pending. So those all has to be evolved, because everything 100% might not have completed what actually been in the vision. So the vision is something like it is showing actually what I wanted, but it is not that everything will be at the developed at the one instance itself, right? So that's called, I think it's goes in agile methodology. When something initially you will break those larger requirements into smaller groups, and then you will develop in smaller groups and then deliver it to the customers in a pieces. So you don't wait for long periods, so that the long, if somebody is started looking for next 1 year, then like Geo has come and then they launched actually fiber network, right? So fiber internet at anywhere. So something like if Airtel was waiting actually longer, like next year I will launch, then this year they come and then launch the fiber internet, and then everyone attract to, then the Airtel will be losing their customers. So it's something like they don't want to get into make everything perfect. So today's market is seeing um, always a opportunity for releasing something and then make improvements on top of what they are delivering. So that is service transition is more talks about the development and improving the capabilities what they are delivering to their customer, and that's actually goes into the production environment. Till then it is actually going to be in the service transition. The service operation is more talk about how you manage the service. So we said something like ITSM, right? So that's something we want to manage actually the service once it is delivered to the customer. Also, this you have something called a continuous service improvement. It is not that actually once you give the service, it is not the end of life for it. It is actually has to improve. So only then the customer actually ask, okay, I'm getting something new from the customer from this vendor, so lets me buy and then stay back with him for long. So that's how, as you continuously improve on your services, what you are providing to the customers. So that's all talks about the best practices of those will be talking continual service improvement. Also, I put this actually to brief you about what exactly those five topics, and the life cycle will also you see here actually what is service design, service strategy. Those are being actually put in more detail in this slide. It is the similarly what I was discussing earlier. The service strategy is more of service portfolio. They have defined a list of things what they need to do, and then service economy is they understand what actually the services already been available and what more to be done. So there are a lot of things which will be get if you go in detail of the service ITSM service life cycle and the stages. So these are the stages which I just populated for your benefit. And let me go next. So I was telling something like each stages we see on the top here, they are the stages. So when we talk about the life cycle, each of these stages will have something called as a service, the processes. They define into some of the phases, and as well as there will be a process and the sub process again. So in ITIL, this is the slide which explains you that where we work and we learn more in ServiceNow. Um, there are more of these modules which you see in this, or the processes which you see, they are being adopted inside ServiceNow. So that's where I was telling you about why you need to understand ITIL before we start going into the ServiceNow. It's more of these, each of the on the top you can see there are they are the strategies, the each of the ITL stages, and in that each stages you have a sub process, and the sub process are being defined. It's majorly, I think I will focus on this one, because we this one and this one, because we work on these two. Will not be touching more of this, uh, but we mainly focused on service transition and the operation. So what we do is we work as a developer, and we work actually, and then we serve the customer as an admin, right? So it's more of, actually, we need to understand the details of what exactly inside service transition and the service operations, and also more of continual service improvement. When you come to service transition, you see a couple of modules like change management. We already talk about many times on this. And also you have service asset and configuration management. You had to have a lot of assets in your organizations. Those need to be recorded, and their hardware and the software versions has to be registered, and then they had to be managed. And also compliances, they had to be managed, like whether the software is already been procured by the company, and then the number of licenses which they procured versus the installation, they had to compare. So all those will be done in the asset and configuration management. Also, you have something called a knowledge management. If an incident, if it is coming to, if somebody raise an incident and then they see that it is totally new, and they actually keep seeing the same incident coming every often, then it is good to it's a similar kind of a exercise you do, educating the customer. Then they are resolving the issue on their own later. So that's how you can develop knowledge base inside ServiceNow, and that talks about the knowledge management. It's more of developing a kind of learnings in a document format, or a steps or a process. Then those will be uploaded in somewhere, and the customers can access them. Rather they raise an incident and come back to you, they can do their steps. These days this is becoming more, because they don't want to the customers to come to every time, and then they ask you the questions. So you might have seen the FAQs everywhere, and then those FAQs are prepared kind of a knowledge. It is not exactly, but it is kind of an high level FAQs which are given, will answer you many of your questions, rather you are in confusion or waiting for somebody to answer from the service provider side. Also, you have release and the deployment management. Something like you need to, when you are managing, when you are in an industry, you need to develop and then deploy something, right? So you need to have a end-to-end life cycle management of any of the stories which you are creating, or the requirements you need to do. Then that talks about inside release and deployment management. If you all already worked on these industries, then I think these are all very familiar to you. Maybe service validation and testing. Once the service has been actually done, then there will be a testing, and then the deployment will happen. So also the evaluations, there are a couple of evaluations you had to take place when you are doing uh, you are delivering something to the customers. So it's in terms of the licensing, legal, and other topics has to be discussed inside this evaluation. The transition and planning and support. So the transition, when you have to, when your end product is ready and developed and tested, So there should be a transition to the operation. So how are you going to transition? What type of what level of training you had to give it to the end user or the operation team, wherein it's not the development and the the operation team might not be the same in all across the organizations which we have. So it might be same some in some cases, like in ServiceNow you might be a developer, also an admin person, but if you want to there will be a set of 24/7 supporting support being provided in the operations, then those cases will not be merged each other. So in that they will be keeping a separate people set of people to only do the operations, and then set of people to do only the development. So the organization to organizations it varies, but in service now it is possible that you might be doing both at a time. So you might be managing the admin activities and in terms of the operations, what issues are coming, and also you even support the development task. So that need a transition. So there might be a demo which is need to be given to the operational teams. Their understanding on how they need to understand, and then how they need to resolve, or how the new product which has been developed is working, and how the issues can be resolved. So there is a demo has to be given to the operational team, and then they will be take care of the services. When you come to the service operations, there are set of processes again. You see the event management is kind of a events which are coming to the from the network. For example, if you have a device which is down, then there is an event which is created. So there is a problem which gets creates from any of the service which you are delivered. Those are being discussed under event management. Incident management, you already know that if any problem which has occurred, then there is a the things which has to be registered, and then that has to be managed. Those processes will be explained inside the incident management. Similarly, we have a problem management. If the incident is keep repeating again and again, if the same incident is coming for example, I was telling about a server, right? The server is keep repeating, keep restarting on his own every day. Then it's become something like you had to fix it on a instance itself, or you had to fix it permanently. It is not that you keep resolving it every day and you burn your effort, your resource effort, who are in the operations team. The incident is something like it is actually how quickly you will be able to resolve the issues, and how quickly you are able to get back the services so that customer can start using the service again. How quickly you will deliver. It might be a workaround, or it might be a permanent solution. But you had to have quick resolution in the incident management. But if it is keep repeating again and again, then there will be a problem management will come into picture, wherein you try to analyze the root cause of the problem, and then understand that why this problem is coming, and how can we resolve this um, at a time, and then that takes care of everything, and then the issue is nullified for all time. So that way, so when you want to do that, then it is more talks about the problem management. Also, you see something like a request fulfillment. If something like a Flipkart, when you order something, then there is a backend team who actually needs to deliver it to you. They're the services which you might have placed a request, but it has to be delivered to you at the end to fulfill. Then there will be a request fulfillment team. So there it talks about how the delivery will happen. So once the request is being, there will be a packaging team. They package it and then they keep it in, and there will be a courier team. They come and pick the courier, and then they at the end they transport, the end transport or a connecting team again come back and then do the delivery at your home. So kind of those services will be managed across, and that those best practices, how this need to be um, actively managed. So those will be discussed under the request fulfillment. Also, you have something called they derive a process for access management. It is not that when you are in operations, why it has been listed in operation, there is something already working. So if you give admin access to everyone, then everyone will be able to go and do anything on the environment. What access should be managed to each individuals in an organization? Whether the individuals who are asking, who are using the services or an application, they are actually authorized to use these services or not. So that need to be managed. Those details will be under the access management. So it's more of understanding like the role and responsibilities of each individuals of customer or a end users of your own organization. You might have a IT department, HR department, you might have the security department. What level of access to that application has to be granted? So is that everyone will have an admin access? I don't think, right? So it's more of actually each individuals will carry their own rights, and that rights is limited, and that talks in access management process. Also, you see there are some of them listed as a function. So it's under the process, the stages. You also have functions. They more of actually, it is not that they technically go in detail. It is actually just manage it. It is just a functions. The ITL listed a few of the functions. They actually listed in the bottom here. The one is service desk management. What service desk do? The service desk, any company will have a front end team who actually communicate between the end users and back to their technical teams. What happens when you call a customer care, somebody receives and then they actually try to see their knowledge base and try to resolve the issue. What happens when somebody calls us? The service desk is not a technical team. It's actually they look at the information what is available and try to answer back to you. So it actually they refer to the knowledge management. So you see in the service transition, you have knowledge base been built in the knowledge management. They refer back to the knowledge management and then see that what is available for the services or a what are questions coming from the customer. So then they understand their customer, they try to answer at the best and try to answer there in the effective manner. Kind of like you go back to the Airtel and ask, okay, what are the prepaid options available for me? So you might refer them back to the website, or you might be explaining what they have required, right? So that's a more of the information they look at their end, and then they try attempt to answer it. That's the service desk team. And if this issue is still not resolved, then the customer says that, yeah, still I need more details into it, then you will be registering a complaint. And then you will always you register a complaint in the service desk. What happens, any services or any calls which you are receiving, they had to register a complaint, and then that's been answered and then closed. That is how it should work. It is not that you just answer them and then they close it. So it should be registered. So what you actually discussed with the customer and what actually you are resolving, that has to be registered as an incident. And the incident, they use the incident module, and then wherein they create an incident and they write what exactly they discussed with the customer, so that even the same customer coming back tomorrow, so some they can refer back what are the questions actually been answered already to that particular customer, and what are the questions are he asked earlier to us. So that somebody, because the same the customer care support team will not be available always, so there will be keep changing. So they need an information on the customer what he was trying to request from us, and what actually more details he is expecting from us. Also, there is a technical management team. When it comes to the management, right? So there is something, when an incident is raised, then that need to be resolved. It is not, I told you, the service desk is mainly not non-technical team. There might be a technical team, but it is not that it has to be technical always. So if there is a technical person is available, then they might answer something better than the non-technical guy. So that way, so it there might be a technical team in the service desk, but it is not always they carry the technical team, because they need to refer back to the knowledge base and then just answer the customer and then try to get their queries and then pass it on to somebody. So that somebody, if their service desk is not able to resolve, then all things which will come back to the technical management team, wherein the best practices which talks like, okay, so there is the request which is not able to support, then it will comes to you might have heard of L1, L2, L3 support, right? There are if you in an ITIL, what happens is if 24/7 support being given for any of the service, any of the product which company is offering, then they will set up the 24/7 shifts, uh, maybe 8 bar to 8 bar 3, 8 hours and 3 shifts that will cover 24 hours, and it will be run. Maybe they might support only for 5 days a week, or a working hours, or even it might be 7 days a week. It based on what type of the services you are agreeing. So maybe even in within that, what happens is, um, if you are agreeing, okay, for few customers I will support, okay, you are a gold customer, so you give a support for whole 24/7 support. That means 24 hours of all 7 days, that is 365 days you are active and working for them. If they come back with any issues, I will resolve. So that's how you go back and then say to the gold customers, and there will be a silver and the platinum customers, so you derive their SLAs based on it. So whenever you come outside these business hours of IST or any other global um, organizations working, then they might agree to their timeline and then they give a support. So that kind of structure you had to form when you are making a contract, when you are delivering a services, what type of the services you are going to deliver, and what level of support you also provide, whether you provide only between the business hours or it is across the clock. So then the technical team, in that what happens, there will be in the shifts, there will be an L1, L2 and L3. L1 normally what they do is level 1 team will actually do the monitoring of alarms and the events which are coming in the monitoring dashboard. So any services you had to do the management, then the event management will come, right? So we discussed about the event management. To monitor these events which are coming, so you need a dashboard, and you need something to view what issues somebody is facing, what issues are happening on the devices which we have on the back end on the data center. So to do this, you need to have kind of mm, the dashboards and the monitoring windows been built, and those will be monitored by the proactively by the service desk team. That is called that team called as an L1, or even some companies called as an L0. I don't prefer, actually L0 is okay, but yeah, it's the each company wise it varies, but calling them L1, L2, L3, or L0, L1, L2, so that varies. But you might have to ask what is exactly the role which we are going to play. So if you are going to be part of the service desk or a monitoring or a technical support teams, the L1 I explained, it's more of the monitoring, and then from the alert what is coming, it's just creating a ticket and then just assigning it to the next team. It's just a monitoring. There is an alert coming, then you take that alert and then assign a ticket to the next team, and then you know that the which team what has to be assigned to, and then accordingly you assign to the particular group or a particular person who is responsible for those resources or services. um, then L1, the L1 is actually kind of they go back with their run books. There will be kind of documents on the step by step what you should do for the each of the issues. There will be some kind of a document prepared, and the L1 team might refer those, or they might have somebody who has experienced already. I can do like this and resolve this issue. So then if they have a knowledge already, they can go through those the knowledge base and the knowledge what they have already, and resolve the issues. And L2 comes when the L1 is still not able to resolve the issue. So there are some technical understanding what they have are the limitations on the axis also limit them to do more than what actually they are investigating. So the L1 might have a limited access onto the environment. So in those cases, what they do is those tickets which they can't able to resolve, then that will be assigned to the L2 team. So the L2 team will actually pick up, and then they see that what the issue is exactly, and then they go in details into the deeper of log checking the logs, and then checking many more things into when they're resolving the particular issue. That is where actually the technical team or the technical management team will be formed, and the IT operation management will happen. So that's more of the which team to keep where, and how the process has to happen when the incident's coming. That's more of the technical knowledge what they need to gain, and what trainings has to be given, and how things has to be managed. That all has to come here. And also you might have a support for from the vendor. You might have brought a hardware from third party, but you developed a software on top of that, and deployed in those hardware. So then it's a hardware partner might be different, and then you might need to raise an issue to the particular vendor who is providing the hardware, and resolve those all talks in technical management, IT operational management, those licenses, and the contracts between the third party, or you might have even operations you are actually given it to somebody else to manage the services. Then those all as topics will be uh, coming in technical management and IT operations. Also, you have something called the application management. It is also similarly what we have discussed. It's more of the events which will come from the application is not working, or application is slow, and then so those services, how you will be managing it, those, and that it's all covered under application management. These are actually the functions which under ITIL. Also, you might be seeing the continual improvement. I mentioned that the continual service improvement, it's more talks about how you improve your services, what you have already provided. So as part of the operations, you might be seeing that, okay, so my service is slow, means the way I am giving the services to my end customer, they come back and raise a issue today, and then I resolve it after 7 days. Is that I'm doing better? Is that I can reduce the number of days I'm taking to resolve an issue? So you have to think of what actually you are doing today, and is that something I can improve it over the time, and then make the customer keeping happy. If you are giving what services, then you have to measure them first, right? So you have to measure how quickly I'm resolving it. Is there an SLA for a particular team? And if the issue is being resolved, how they are being resolved? Is that it can be resolved? If that is being resolved by 1 day, it can be resolved by 2 hours. So the kind of the analysis which will be done under the continual service improvement, and also you see that, okay, you keep taking the dump of how many incidents will come for the last month, and analyze that, and see that, okay, you are breaching some of the SLAs. SLA, we will talk about even SLA and OLA, and also underpin contract in the later sessions. I'll come to that. That SLA talks about the more of the contract between the customer and the vendors. I just mentioned because more of actually the service improvement also needed in terms of maintaining your KPIs, key performance indicators. The key performance indicators are mainly concentrated by a customer, because they are going to be the threat for the companies. So if they are not able to meet their KPIs, there will be having a penalties from the customers. So they had to keep their key performance indicators. That when we talk about the key performance indicator in the later time, I will go into the details of what is OLA, SLA, and underpin contract. So we can also define that when we talk about the incident module. We will more discuss on that, and we will also create those SLA, OLA, and um, underpin contract. I will also show that how exactly you can relate it for a particular service and how this can be started. When it comes to the current, as we were discussing on the continual service improvement, so those are all will be taken into consideration. What services you had given, on top of it, what more you can actually provide to the end users. So that's how that's what the topic. And then these are the three the process which talks in that. And yeah, in terms of that, service management, service reporting, and it's a monitoring and then reporting back, and service improvement. So you think of what actually I can improve in my service. These are the three processes which are in the um, continual service improvement. Also, I put a the Excel, wherein this Excel it's more of actually we were discussing the life cycle phases, and the sub processes are listed in the I'll just take it I'll just open and show you guys what is actually there are more processes. We on a high level I explained each of them actually need okay, I think I'm not shared it. Mm. Okay, I think I'm not shared the Excel. Let me just do the whole page. Okay, so maybe you might be able to see now. So you see these are the processes and there are sub processes. We discussed about the stages. We said service strategy, service design, and we talked about service transition. We talked about operations and a continual service improvement. So these are the serve stages. On the top, you can see there are processes and also a sub processes. Each of these will carry a sub processes. We discussed on the processes, right? So there are sub processes attached to it. Within this strategy management IT service, you have a strategic service assessment and also strategic definitions and how do you execute. So these are all tied to each of this. When you want to complete this, you had to go through all this, what each one actually talks about the best practices. So the full session of the ITIL will be going details of explaining what exactly these and how they do and how the process things and all that. But in this session, I will limit it here, and then I will show you that I just wanted to give you a brief of what actually the stages we have and the processes and the sub processes we have, and you need to have some level of understanding on the ITIL. So hope I think that's give you more understanding. Also, I put another slide because more of in service now we talk about maybe I will take a few minutes now to explain you this why I put this slide. We have 5 more minutes. I just cover this and then we will break for today. And then actually we will go into the more details of the development from tomorrow onwards. The ITIL process, when you talk, I mentioned that something like incident management, problem management, change management, knowledge, asset, and configuration management. What is mean by, I think I gone through this, but let me still cover it once more. The incident management, the as a definition, it's an incident management aims to restore normal service operations. So the service is running, it's normal, and that need to be quickly recover it, and then the business operations is back again. Uh, then the customers are start using it. So the definition says that incident management aims to restore normal service operations as quickly as possible and minimize the adverse effect of the business operations. If your service, if you are providing an Airtel is providing a service, and then if it is not available in one of the area, then it's impacting all the customers. So customers think that, okay, so today it's fine, but tomorrow if it is impacting again, then it's going to be a problem, right? So then that has to be restored. The incident management talks more about how quickly you will be restoring those services, thus ensuring the possible level of service quality and the availability are maintained. You need to maintain the availability. Today it is down for 10 minutes, tomorrow it is again down for 10 minutes, so it is keep repeating. It is not the service what you had to provide to the customers, so you had to bring back quickly so that your downtime, if you calculate or average it out for an year or a quarter, it is less. Then that is why they people say that, okay, my service is up and running for 99.999. How they derive that? Actually, that derived through the incident management, and they monitor their services, how long, how quickly they recover it. So that's how their performance is measured. That talks about in the incident management. It's more of actually recovering the service back quickly. And the problem management aims to resolve the root cause of an incident. You see some incident is keep repeating. I said that these incidents are coming again and again, then the same issue is coming again and again. So then how are you going to find a the full-fledged solution to it? So then you will raise a problem management. There will be a problem manager assigned to it, and they understand the issue. They will go back to the technical team, understand what exactly the issue is, and then they see that this can be resolved at a time. The problem management aims to resolve the root cause of an incident, and thus to minimize the adverse impact of an incident caused by error within the IT infrastructure, and to prevent reoccurrence of the incident related to these errors. A problem in this context is unknown underlying cause of one or more incidents. It might be attached to many incidents, and a known error as well is a problem that is successfully diagnosed, and for which either workaround or a permanent solution has been identified. So you might have a permanent solution or a workaround, but that need to be controlled. So, and also if that something is not going to be resolved, then they will be logged under the known errors, and they will be taken care, um, because you know already if the customer is coming back and raising, yeah, you know that yes, there is an issue, and this need to be addressed by a vendor or the service provider, then they will not raise an issue. So they know that already. So that way, or even the service desk, when they receive the similar kind of an issue, then they say that, okay, this has been already known to us, and then there's nothing to do on this. So our technical team on the back end, they are still finding it. So they know that. Some of the product, when you receive, there will be a known issue, their logs, they will be registering all the known issues in the product what they are released to the market. The change management aims to ensure that the standard method and the process are used to effectively handle all the changes. So you can't go and do the changes in the production instance, right? So you need to have a control on what is getting changed on the production. So that's all about change management. A change is an event that results in the new state, one more configuration items. It is related to one of the configuration item. When you talk about the configuration item, it's a service which is deployed on that particular configuration item. From that the issues are getting raised. um, so then there are set of that in the change management also you have standard, emergency, and normal. So each one talks about why there are three types of the changes normally we use. I think those definitions we will see even when we go into the service now. So you also see when you raise a change request in service now, it also gives the three options. So you will see a bit of the definitions also in there. We will understand there. And knowledge management, it's also, we talk about the knowledge management, it's more of creating a documents and kind of a even the video or an audio, information which gives to the team who is looking for some information before there is an incident, so that your incident counts is reduced, so that you're not burning your money in terms of building a huge team in the service desk and the operations teams. The asset management is more talks about the asset. It is IT asset management. It's an asset. It's also called as an ITAM. Is a set of business processes designed. Sorry, I just dragged here and there. I think I'm moving the slides here and there. Sorry. Okay, so it's more of actually it's again the you have number of assets which are being kept in your organization, like a software and hardware, and each one will have their own version. So how are you going to manage it? So that's actually discussed in the asset management. And the configurations management is actually systematical engineering process to establish maintaining the consistency of the product and performance functions and physical attributes with its requirement design and operation information throughout its life cycle. So it's more of actually talks about these two talks about more of getting an hardware and what versions of the hardware you have, um, uh, and then how are you going to manage it. The asset is actually more of the cost. Anything we talk about the asset management, it's all talks about the finance. So you need to have some kind of a cost when you are procuring an hardware. Then you need a cost involved in it. And so what will happen in configuration management, once you get an hardware or a software, you will actually configure it and then manage it. So you will actually customize it, and then you actually create a newer version of software, and then you deliver it to the customer, so that there should be a versioning of those the configurations, and you get some requirement and you enhance it. You should have a traceability matrix for what type of the requirement you are receiving, and then what type of the requirement you have delivered, whether 100% of the requirement which you received from the customer are being delivered or not. So those can be tracked, and there will be a versioning which will be happening. So that way, asset management and the configurations management are very interesting topics. If somebody interested in going through lot in asset and configurations management, they are very well demand in the market. Okay, with this, I think we are at 9 o'clock. What I do is I will pause now, and I will leave you guys to, mm, if you guys see that if something to be answered or anything, I think we can discuss a few minutes more and then break for today. What I wanted to plan for tomorrow is more of going into the service now. So with this, I think I'm ending my session for the ITIL. So this is more or less it is enough. It's more understanding on the ITIL is good actually. What you guys will have if you understand what I have briefed you through. Um, brief you through today. You might need more in case if somebody is interested. There are more to go. I showed you guys the Excel sheet wherein it is briefing the sub processes also. If you go into each of the sub processes, it details into what actually the practices you should have in an organization to make your services better. So in that sense, I think I will pass mine, and I'll leave you for any questions. Thank you. Anyone has any questions from today? Hope you all are able to understand what I have run through for last 55 minutes now. Anyone? Okay. So is that clear or something I need to change? Is that something the way I'm teaching you guys? Is that something I need change in it, or it's all good?
Oh, it's good, Arpit.
Okay, so you are able to understand, Krishna. So what I explained and the way maybe if it is too much speed, then let me know so that I can at least pause in between, explain you more details. I tend to actually talk more, but it's more actually I should break. But yeah, so I wanted to give you more details. When I'm going in a context, I thought at least I will complete those context of what I'm talking about, right? The topics what I'm covering. So hence I'm not breaking in between. Yeah, otherwise, if you feel that yes, there should be a break required, so let me know. Good with this. I think if there is no questions, there are no questions for today, then I will end the session for today, and we will talk about more on ServiceNow. So now I will start concentrating more on ServiceNow. We'll get into the development and administration of the activity. What we do from tomorrow is we get into the login of our ServiceNow instances, and I will show you a few of how you can navigate through different um, pages, and yeah, from there we will start the development aspects. So it is combination of both actually administration and as you start doing the development, you will also learn the administration, because when you do a development, you will also has to understand how to resolve those issues, right? So when you develop something, then you know that how this has been developed, so where you had to look forward to resolve those issues. So you will be, when you are becoming a developer, you will also become an admin person. So there are more of understanding on the roles and responsibilities. There are different ways we do. Uh, yeah, so you will get to know more. Thank you. Thanks all for joining. If there is no questions, then I will end for today. Have a nice day. Speak to you tomorrow again. Sarika, you had question? I'm just waiting for you. You unmuted.
Actually, the thing is like you are explaining about the development and admin, and I
Mhm.
have seen the course content like you're gonna explain integration too. Like, do you cover the integration part also?
It's more of the integration. You need a third party tool. Okay, what why we
Mm-hmm.
do is there is a tool called the Postman. So we use
Okay.
Postman to post the data. It is like a third party tool where the data is coming into your service now, and then you are going to pull the data from service now. So the
Okay.
similar way how the integrations work in other, and if you integrate with the third party tool, so that we will be demoing, but exactly you will not do all the integration aspects, right? So it is more of integrating the exact tool, but it is we are actually simulating it. We are not
Okay.
having a third party tool here, but still you will actually do the integration. Yes, you will learn the two
Okay.
aspects.
Yeah,
So you will create a
because I
REST
have seen it in
APIs.
the course content. Yeah, yeah. Okay, got it.
Yes, you will have them, Sarika. So this course content we prepared in terms of what is exactly the developer should have to start with. If somebody working on
Okay.
an ITSM modules, at the
Mm.
end they should have at least the takeaway from the sessions will be something they are going to be good in. If you go to any interviews, for example, so then you should be clear those.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so thanks all for joining. I think I will end my session today, and yeah, we will connect again tomorrow and discuss more, and we will go deeper, and yeah, we will start our day with the development. Then, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
You too.